around since the 1930s. Most of us have heard of it, but haven't seen it, at least up close. After several natural disasters and disagreements about what to do with it, a cluster of buildings in the middle of Biscayne Bay is still around. We went along with historian Dr. Paul George for a tour of Stiltsville to find out how it started, how it almost ended, and where things stand.
But we are coming quite close to them now. It's an amazing scene here.
Oh, the stories they could tell.
It was a legendary place, and if you weren't there, what you heard about on the mainland was that this place was outrageous, So everybody knew about Stiltsville, and it's only a Miami thing.
The 7 standing structures, spared by hurricanes, hosts of countless parties, hangouts for South Floridian adventurers for decades.
It's the only community I know like this, and it's a great fishing place, but it's more of a party place, and in some cases a family place.
Stiltsville is a hard-to-reach piece of South Florida history. Homes cradled above the turquoise waters of Biscayne Bay, mostly empty these days, but rich with history.
It's a one-of-a-kind place. It's one of many things that makes Miami unique, and we kind of think of our town as really unique. I mean, if I was in West Palm Beach now, I probably wouldn't say that. But Miami is just so unique and multicultural, and all the crazy people that have come here to start over again or whatever. So that's one of the elements of it. Thank you.
Dr. Paul George keeps the legend alive.
You got a wonderful tour tonight.
With his quarterly History Miami tours, a look at Miami landmarks and some natural wonders along the way that make South Florida so special.
He may follow us into Stiltsville. I mean, it's gone this far already.
Stiltsville all began in the 1930s as a party spot after legendary fisherman Crawfish Charlie started making chowder on an abandoned beach vessel. By the end of that decade, others had set up there as well.
And long story short, people said, wait a minute. Crawfish Charlie has set up shop. There's this beach vessel in the shallows, and he's built like this little structure on top where he kind of presides over this community of fishermen and all. Why can't we do it? A lot of vessels have been abandoned. They're older vessels. So other people got the idea, why can't we do it? And so the city manager of Miami in 1937 and the city traffic director both built vessels on top of what were marooned older vessels there. And they use that as like fishing shacks. And then this guy, Commodore Ed Turner, comes along in 1940. He gets a barge out there. Again, it's really flat and shallow. And he opens up something called the Quarterdeck Club. I mean, there was a lot of skullduggery there, and gambling, what have you.
With the Quarterdeck Club in 1940 came the gambling, the beautiful women, and the wild times. Dr. George tells it best.
And you begin to see these clubs, the Quarterdeck Club, the Calvert Club, the Phoebus Club. You could drink because Prohibition was over, but there was gambling, and there was probably prostitution to some degree also. And I mean, it was intensely partying into the 50s, into the mid-60s.
After the war, people started building homes on stilts. Known as Stiltsvillians, groups of friends usually partner together to own a home in what might be the most beautiful location imaginable. It was mostly a weekend getaway. Legend has it, drugs were dropped along the sandbars.
It could have been. Drugs were dropped off all along the shoreline, just like alcoholic beverages were during National Prohibition, all along the shoreline. So it could have been very much that way. But the house has served other functions too. People that were lost at sea, they would go out and help them. They took kids there, Boy Scouts and all, for just an outing. Fishing is great there. They brought a lot of handicapped kids out there. So there was a positive side in addition to the negative side.
By 1960, on the eve of Hurricane Donna, there were 27 buildings, including 4 clubs.
Well, I think the craziest thing was when a guy named Harry Churchville, a.k.a. Plucky Pierre, said to have been on PT 109 with John Kennedy in the Pacific World War II, got a beach vessel set up the Bikini Club in the early 60s. And for a woman adorned only in a bikini, drinks for free. And it became the talk of the town. Newspaper articles, magazine articles outside of Miami. The problem was that Harry forgot to get a liquor license.
So one day in 1964, the state liquor agent showed up, shut it down. The next year, it went up in flames in 1965.
In the 1960s, Hurricanes Donna and Betsy's whittled Stiltsville down to 10 structures. Then came Andrew.
On the eve of Andrew, there were 13 buildings, no clubs anymore, 13 buildings. The park system, the state said, if a building sustains 50% plus damage, you can't rebuild it. It has to be taken down. So with Andrew, you had 7 buildings left. That's what you have today. We've been lucky the last almost 30 years that, hurricanes haven't taken them out.
In 1980, Biscayne National Park was enlarged to include Stiltsville. Stiltsvillians had already had to lease the land in order to have a house there. When those leases expired in 1999, the park system decided not to allow any more buildings in the natural environment. There was some back and forth, and finally it was decided that the Stiltsvillians would have to leave their homes, but the homes would remain standing, and they would have access to them. The Stiltsville Trust was established, a nonprofit that works with the national parks to make the homes available to the public by appointment.
So what's happened is the former homeowners have become what they call caretakers. And they're residing in the homes, usually on weekends, but they're also maintaining them. And that's what the Park Service wants at this point. But you could conceivably rent these things.
And what a storied place to stay. Some tour highlights: the Ellenberger Place, the unofficial mayor of Stiltsville who died in 1994. His body was cremated and his ashes strewn around the
There's
house.
somebody jumping off of there.
The interior of the Judge Nuck House was built with shipwrecked lumber. And the famous A-frame house, built with telephone poles from Key Biscayne, blown apart by Hurricane Wilma.
As we go into hurricane season right now, what goes through your mind? You know so much about it. You've shown so many people the history of it.
Just keep my fingers crossed and say in my prayers that it'll stay up because it's very fragile. And with Irma, the 7 buildings, every deck was either destroyed or damaged. And the decks are close to the water as opposed to where the stilts spraying the regular house. So that's how vulnerable it is. So we're always worried about that.
A slice of Miami's past even the most knowledgeable South Floridians might not know a lot about.
I learned a lot. Miami's always changing too. You know, anything that's 20 years old, they tear down and build something new. So you're always seeing new things in Miami. It was really, really informative. I loved it.
I was born in 1962, so he gives a lot of history before that. And he gives all the little backstories and, you know, kind of little details that you may not get in just a regular history of Miami that kind of hits the bullets and that. So, no, he's a great storyteller. I think he's great at, you know, his animation and keeping people engaged and making it interesting, and he's fantastic.
While there aren't a lot of visitors here, those who come aren't disappointed. Few physical mementos remain, but the stories will live on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Please join us again, though. Thank you.
The Stiltsville and Key Biscayne Sunset Cruise with Dr. George leaves from Bayside Marketplace every few months. You can find out more about it on the History Miami website.